Every time I walk, the ears move and the cat just does not know what's going on. She's so confused. So I just wanted to show them off. So I recently had one of those glorious define the relationship talks, and it really confronted me with a part of myself I didn't know about. It made me realize that I care about labels, and it's just something that I hadn't given much thought before. After that conversation, I thought, why do I care so much? Do labels mean this much to me? Have they always meant this much to me, or is this situational? And why do I have to resist the urge to devolve in complete apathy without one? I found myself so caught up in trying to answer these questions that I made a list. I made a pros and cons list about labeling relationships. The result of that neurosis is this podcast. I just wanted to show you some of the shit I came up with. Let's see if we think differently about labels after this. First, let's talk about the reasons I found to avoid labels. I wrote down it lulls you into a false sense of security. I feel like once a relationship is established, you pay less attention to red flags or you become more tolerant to them. And these labels often bring a sense of entitlement with them. By not labeling things, you avoid falling back on the set expectations and entitlements. And as a result, you're more present and you're less likely to tolerate bullshit because in a relationship that is not defined, you can't coast by. You have to stay vigilant. Then I wrote down, they don't add anything to quality of a relationship. If someone marries you, calls you their life partner, but simultaneously treats you like absolute crap, who cares what they call you? All that matters is how you feel about each other and how you treat each other and that you respect each other's boundaries, right? Who cares what it's called? The same label can mean completely different things to different people. Even if you do use labels, who says you're talking about the same thing? Take, for instance, the word casual. According to the Psychology Wiki, a casual relationship is a physical and emotional relationship between two people who may have a sexual relationship, i.e., friends with benefits, without necessarily demanding or expecting the extra commitments of a more formal romantic relationship. And it has the explicit intent of never developing into a long-term relationship. And it's marked by a lack of emotional attachment. The funny thing is, people often try to make a situation easier by making it casual, but never in my life has a relationship become easier by someone making it casual. Have you ever had it be easier? It's not easy. It's one of the hardest relationship forms there is. Or maybe it's just me. I hate the word casual or the word friend. Someone I'm trying to bang on a regular basis is not a friend. If you label a relationship casual, I think it's a pretty intense label, right? It's a label that says, I see no future with you. I'm having fun now, but as soon as I meet someone that I like better, I will forget your name. If you've made up your own definition of what casual means, make sure the other person you're talking to knows what casual means to you, because you could end up hamstringing yourself so hard. Not using labels forces us to talk about what we want. Talking about what you want and need is way more useful than, using a label. And here's the reasons I think we do need labels. I wrote down omission is also definition. And ironically enough, relationships are defined by their lack of definition often. They're defined by the omission of labels or people's reluctance to label them. Labels need to exist, so when someone is bending over backwards to avoid using one, it also gives you a lot of information. The next one I just wrote power struggles. This is how I've experienced it, but the person wanting a title is always in a weaker position than the person who doesn't want one. And I would bet money on the fact that most things are probably happening on the terms of the person who doesn't want a title. Having a label can be symbolic for deciding that you both have equal say, that things happen on both your terms. Partners can demand things where a casual hookup can't. Let's not pretend that the status you have in someone's life is completely unrelated to the label you get, because that would be delusional. Not having a status in someone's life can make you feel insignificant because we intuitively know that status and labels are connected, that they have something to do with each other. So if someone refuses to give you a title, it makes you feel like the proletariat. And then I wrote rules of engagement. Labels help us determine our expectations. They can help us not overextend ourselves. When someone says they want something casual, you know that you should not give them partner rights. You do not give them partner attention. You just live your life. Don't consider them that big a part of it, and just do your thing. Knowing where you fall on someone's hierarchy of relationships is a way to keep yourself emotionally safe and to make sure that you're not overinvesting your precious emotional energy into something that someone doesn't see going anywhere anyway. It helps us not treat someone who just sees us as an option as a priority. Also, here's a pro tip from your favorite neighborhood wench. Don't treat relationships like job opportunities. Don't say yes to casual relationships in the hope that you can work your way up to the position of partner. Sure, it's winter. Let people entertain you if you can emotionally detach from them. Absolutely. Have fun. But don't do it while holding your breath for more. If you agree to the casual thing, do the casual thing and don't use it as a backdoor entry into relationship land, because that's not how this works. Trust me, that's not how it works. Before you say yes to a casual relationship, ask yourself 2 questions. Can I still be open and romantically available to other prospects while talking to this person at the same time? When you think about them whining and dining and banging and talking to someone else, does that make you feel okay? If the answer to both questions is no, then stop mentally torturing yourself and get out of that situation. I think we've all made this mistake. Why do we try to act unbothered by things that do bother us? We're not trying to prove that we're hard asses, we're trying to be loved, and people can only love us honestly if we are honest. Going nowhere fast. Another thing I noticed about mislabeled or unlabeled relationships is that they have this tendency to be super stagnant. They're marked by a lack of progression. You often find yourself in the same position for months or even years, which is not only an incredible waste of time, but it's just really boring. We all need something to look forward to, right? Let that be one of the things this relationship will not give you, any excitement about the future. So I think labels are also handy because they tell you what someone's plan is. It tells you that someone at least has a plan. I'm really curious what pro and what con you can come up with that wasn't already mentioned. It's pretty hard, but I came to a couple of conclusions. I'd rather have someone never mention a label than misuse it. It throws all the momentum you think you had out of the window. If the other person has another idea about the terminology, you can end up ruining things for yourself pretty badly. And also, using the wrong terms or refusing to name things can also make someone immediately emotionally unsafe. So be careful with your words, because we are all a bunch of babies when it comes to romantic situations. Most people have the same idea of what dating looks like. But just to make sure that you're on the same page, don't say we're dating, say we're hanging out whenever we can. We're trying to get to know each other better and see if this can become something. Just say that instead of the label, because then you are absolutely sure that the person knows what you mean. Titles do not exempt us from negotiating the terms and conditions of our relationships. Even with labels, you still have to keep talking. You still have to make sure that you're on the same page. You still have to make sure you're working towards the same goal. It's just relationships just take a buttload of talking. Everyone has the potential to become a label person if they feel powerless. Let's all gather in a circle. I personally believe that if you don't know where you stand with someone, you're probably standing absolutely nowhere. If you feel like they downplay your presence, then why would you want them to label anything anyway? Having to negotiate your position in someone's life and feeling stressed and insecure about where you are with this person, those are all signs that this person is not your person. And the sooner you respect that, the better. Don't try to force anything. Anyone who wants to be with you will do whatever they can to be with you. I really do believe that where there is a will, there is a way. You will find a way. And if you can't find a way, that also says a lot. Labels aren't inherently good or bad. It really depends on the couple and how they communicate with each other. A relationship can be perfectly healthy and labelless, but in the wrong hands, I really think it has the potential to expose a lopsided power dynamic. It is interesting because DTR, defining the relationship, is treated as this very intense thing. But I think it's pretty easy to do if you're discussing it with the right person. If you want a label and someone doesn't want to give you one, then you should probably be happy that they don't want to give you one. Someone who is really into you would never do anything to risk losing you. If they do, then that's kind of all you need to know, right? Romantic pursuits require an amount of greed, which might not be a very woke thing to say, but what does all of this come down to? It's about wanting to feel wanted. If a title suddenly becomes really important to you, then that person is not doing a good enough job to make you feel wanted. And I think labels are just an extension of this. Often we think we want labels, but what we actually want is acknowledgement, respect, emotional safety, knowing that someone takes you into account. And these are all my conclusions. You can absolutely disagree, of course, but when I made that list, I just realized we tend to overfocus on labels if we're missing something. But the thing is, labels wouldn't fix that. So basically, if someone really wants to define a relationship, what it comes down to is that this person, in the current configuration of things, does not feel safe. I think I can conclude that I care about labels and I don't care about labels. I care about a label because it is important to not ignore the fact that you're fixating on it because something is wrong, something is missing. But I don't care about labels because I care about knowing what I mean to this person and that they care about things happening on my terms as well. I need forward momentum and planning and having something to look forward to. And those are things the title's not going to give you. It's so easy to trick ourselves into thinking that a label will make everything that we're worried about now happen or fall into place, that a label will move the relationship forward. Labels don't work if the relationship doesn't work. And the title is really only as good as the relationship you're in. For me, making this list and reflecting on it, it really made it clear to me what I need in a relationship. And I need to feel safe, and kind of wrongly assumed that a title meant safety, but that's not how it works. The things someone has to do to make you feel emotionally safe have nothing to do with the title per se. So turns out my neurosis is a great tool for self-exploration. I can honestly say that I learned quite a bit. And I am nothing if not a perpetual student of the School of Life. I hope you got something out of this too. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.